Hey there, this is Caitlin Bandy and my channel Bandy's Books, and I'm just here to do my weekly live update. As per usual, I always start this update by just talking about my week and what's been going on. Nothing too crazy this week, really, honestly. This has been probably the chillest week I've had in a while. Finally, kind of back onto a normal schedule, starting to settle into routine at my new store. And it was kind of nice this week. On Thursday, Oz had an extra day off. So we got to have an extra day off together. Usually it seems like we only get one day off a week because he works Monday through Friday and I work a variety of days all over the week. And I protect like one day off on the weekend so we can always have one day together. But it was nice since he got to take an extra Thursday off. We got to have an extra day together. We went out to this really cool restaurant here in Vegas called Public Us that is like kind of like an upscale coffee shop. So they have like a really, really great patisserie, and then they do really cool meals, and it's just a really cool eclectic vibe. It's like down in downtown Vegas. We used to go there more frequently, and we hadn't been for a while, so it's kind of nice to get together and go have lunch there. And yeah, we got to do some hiking earlier in the week. We went out with my friend and hiked up in Mount Charleston. Got to do a trail that we haven't been on for a little bit. It was really nice just to be up in the mountains and get some sunshine. So definitely some enjoyable things here. And it was nice to have like not such a hectic, stressful week. It was nice to just work my 40 hours and come home. And the only thing that's still a little weird for me is that like we post schedules a few weeks out. And so the schedules that I'm on right now are the previous manager's schedules because I just had to take on what he had already scheduled himself when I took over the store. So it's not exactly how I would schedule myself personally. So I have to deal with that for like one more week. And then finally, I'll be kind of back into some normality. I had a really good reading week. I finished up the last few books that I was trying to finish up before the end of May. So I finished up The Persians by Sanam Maluji. I finished this during my reading sprints this last week. I liked this overall. I think it was definitely a slow starter for me. It took me a little while to get into it. But this is about an Iranian family, both in Iran and in the United States. So some of them left during the revolution and some of them stayed behind. They are obscenely wealthy and a lot of them are unlikable. Some of them I'm like, you feel a little bit more sympathetic for, but definitely some of the main characters are a little bit hard to empathize for. But I think as I got to know who they were and how they became the way they were, I started to understand them a little bit better. And by the end of the story, I thought it was pretty interesting. I liked the resolution that came from the story. So I would say this is probably, like a mid-range to high mid-range book for me. And then I finished After Parties by Anthony Vyazna. So this is the short story collection that I was reading throughout the month. These stories feature Cambodian American characters living in Southern California. And it was overall a pretty nice short story collection. I don't know that this was like an earth-shattering one. I don't think this was something that would be like in my top 10 short story collections ever, but it was enjoyable. And there was a lot for me that I recognized growing up in Southern California. Just little nods here and there to things that are just like culturally normal for Southern Californians. So overall, enjoyable read. I also had finished Flashlights by Suzanne Choi, which was an interesting read for me. Trust Exercises, her previous book, was one of my least favorite books of 2023. I had a really hard time with it and her writing style. I just found it gimmicky and not enjoyable. But I thought Flashlights was a lot more enjoyable. It is historical fiction with kind of a mystery thriller element mixed in, very literary as well. Talks about a family. The father is Korean ethnically, but grew up in Japan. And there's just like, it talks a lot about the conflict with Korea, Japan, the United States, as Japan is relinquishing control of Korea post-World War II, as the United States is getting involved in Korea, as North and South Korea are becoming two separate countries. And so it talked a lot about that from different aspects, which I found really interesting. So our main character is ethnically Korean, but grew up in Japan. His wife is an American. They have a daughter together. Daughter and father are in Japan walking on the beach and they get swept out to sea. Dad disappears, never to be found. Daughter is found on the beach, washed up with a flashlight, and dad is assumed to be dead. and then the story kind of goes on from there. It's just, it was overall really interesting. Like I said, I really appreciated the historical elements of it. I think where I struggled with it was that at points I felt like it dragged a little bit. I thought maybe it was a little bit overlong. I think at times Choi is a little bit indulgent in her descriptive portions. Sometimes she adds a little bit more than is really necessary for the story. I think that sometimes brevity would have suited the plot a little bit more, helped to keep that tension a little bit tighter. But overall, I thought that this was a much better book than Trust Exercises. At least for me, I enjoyed it much more. I appreciated the era it was set in. I appreciated the characters. I appreciated where it went. I actually found the ending of the story compelling and interesting. Whereas with Trust Exercises, I thought that the ending was kind of cliche and I kind of saw it coming. So anyways, improvement for me. Do I think I'll now be like an avid Susan Choi fan? Probably not. But I would consider reading another book of hers in the future if it was similar to Flashlight. And I also read The Seven Moons of Molly Almeida by Shihan Karunatilaka. Sorry, I know I butchered that last name. This wasn't a book for me. I tried. I listened to it on audiobook, and maybe that was the problem. But I feel like I got through the whole thing, and I have no idea what it was about. I know it's about Sri Lanka, and I tried to follow it, but it was confusing. Maybe I wasn't in the right headspace for it. Maybe it's a book that's better suited to reading the physical copy. I may try it again at some point as a physical book, but yeah, this time around it just was not my cup of tea. So upcoming week. So this week is going to be calm before the storm. I have a pretty normal schedule, pretty smooth schedule. I have some rock climbing planned tomorrow night with some friends. We get together at the rock climbing gym once in a while. So tomorrow night we're going to go climb. And then the rest of the week is just honestly 100% dedicated to YouTube and YouTube videos, because the week after that, I have this leadership experience that I have to go to where I'm going to be staying on the Las Vegas Strip for 4 days. I'm not allowed to leave. I have to stay at a hotel with my district. And it is a conference to like teach us all about the management and the company and everything. So that takes up most of my week. And I've been told that we're going to be busy like all day long with very little free time. So I won't really have any time to edit or put up videos during that period of time. And then the week after that, I'm taking a trip home to San Diego for my birthday. So same, I don't want to be like editing crazy amounts of videos while I'm on my vacation for my birthday, essentially. So to balance those things out, I basically said this week that's unremarkable without much going on. I'm going to do as much video editing as I can possibly withstand. So I shot 4 videos yesterday through the course of Saturday while I was on my day off. I have all that raw footage ready to go. I just need to sit down and edit. So after I get off of this live stream tonight, my plan is to cook some dinner really quick, and then I am in the process of reorganizing all my bookshelves because I do that every 3 months. Actually, let me see. I'll show you a sneak peek of, let's see. Can you see the piles of books in the living room there? So those are getting organized tonight. That's the first part of my night. And then the rest of my night is going to be spent editing my TBR video, which I shot yesterday. So I can get that up hopefully tonight, but at the latest tomorrow. Aside from that, I am hoping this week to finish my book of the month predictions, a review of Flashlight, like an in-depth review, a review of King of Ashes by S.A. Cosby, in-depth as well. I have a book tag that I just finished editing today that is ready to be loaded. I also would like to finish my April and May reading wrap-ups and my BookTube prize wrap-ups. So very ambitious plans for the week. I'm not planning to post all of those videos within this particular week, but I am planning to get all of them done and loaded, possibly a couple others. I have lots of things that I took care of yesterday, and I'm feeling very, very optimistic about this week. And then what I'm planning to read this week. So first day of June, happy June, my favorite month of the year because my birthday is in it, because summer starts, because June is just always a good month. So I have planned my books around Pride. So all of my books are LGBTQIA, with the exception of one book for June on the Range. So I picked from that TBR, so a little sneak peek of what is on the TBR and what I'm hoping to read this week. So I have Autobiography of Red by Anne Carson. So this is a book that talks about Grayon. a young boy who is also a winged red monster, revels in the volcanic terrain of his fragile, tormented soul. In an autobiography, he begins at the age of 5. As he grows older, Geryon escapes his abusive brother and affectionate but ineffectual mother, finding solace behind the lens of his camera and in the arms of a young man named Heracles. So this was a book that I found out about at Romans in Pasadena. The bookseller there recommended it to me. It's completely in verse, which is something that's a little bit different from me. I don't read a ton of verse, but I'm very excited about this one. If you can hear snoring in the background, there's not someone snoring. It's just Luna down here by my feet, and she's snoring away. So I'm excited about this one. I am a little nervous about the verse part of it, but we'll see how it goes. And then I have a book that I picked up while I was in South Africa. I found a bookstore in the waterfront area of Cape Town. And this book is called The Queer Book of Revelation by Sia Khumalo. So this is a book about technology and AI and a person finding or coming to terms with their own identity. I was really struck by this cover. I think it's really cool. This is totally in line with things that I like to read. This is not an author I'm familiar with, not a book I had heard of, book that I just came across on a shelf of books by African authors in this bookstore in Cape Town. So very much looking forward to getting into that. And then TJ Klune released recently The Bones Beneath My Skin. Very excited about that. I enjoy Klune's writing very much. I love a good cozy once in a while. So I thought I would put this on my reading for this week as well. So those are a few of the books that I'm hoping to get through this week. And other than that, reading sprints. So I'm going to sit down tonight as well and plan out reading sprints and weekly updates for the month of June. For this week, I will have a reading sprint on Thursday at 9 a.m., as we've been doing for the last few weeks. The week after that, or the next 2 weeks after that, are the ones that are going to possibly be varied in terms of times. I think Thursdays will still work, but I may have to make them a little bit later just to accommodate work things. So yeah, if you've been enjoying the reading sprints, please, we will have one again on Thursday, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I would love to have you there. We've been having a blast. This last week was so much fun. I mean, they've been fun every single week, and I've been loving having such a variety of people pop in and out. But this last week, we had so many people stop by, made excellent progress with our books. And so that's the plan again for this Thursday. I will be starting at 9 a.m. sharp. So if you join in, feel free to bring your coffee, fuzzy blanket, pets, whatever, and definitely bring a good book. So I look forward to seeing some of you there. And I think that's pretty much it. Really, we've talked about how my week's been going, what I've read this week, talked about upcoming video plans, upcoming life stuff, what I want to read this week. And we've talked about reading sprints. I am hoping to maybe run 1 or 2 extra sprints at some point during this month, maybe something for my birthday. Around the 21st there. But we will see how that works out. I'm definitely at least committed to the ones on Thursdays because that's been working out real well for everybody so far. So I hope that everybody has an excellent start to their June. I hope June 1st was fantastic, and I hope this week goes really smooth. I look forward to seeing you throughout the week and hopefully getting up a lot of content over the next few weeks. Like I said, I shot a ton of it. I have time scheduled out to edit it. So as long as my brain cooperates and allows me to focus, we should at least get some good content up. So look forward to seeing you soon. I hope everyone has a great week. Bye.